Okay, let me see.
Sorry, Burns. Actually, I'm not sorry, Burns, because if we didn't make it difficult, what the are we paying you for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there we go.
You know what I mean, Burns?
What's up, airheads? Welcome back to the virtual Airstream Studios. It's time once again for the preeminent Fancy People Dumb Shit podcast.
Best one on earth.
Putting on airs. That's right. I'm Trae and that's Cho. We got a lovely surprise for you today. Very special guest, the inimitable Brad Williams, one of the best comedians working, who graced us with his presence, and we had a great time. We'll play that for y'all here shortly. But Cho, how you feeling?
I'm good. Can you tell I've been look at this? Can you tell I worked out my chest today?
Yeah, you looking swole there in the
Man.
pectorals.
Not to get all like broy and like Joe Rogan, but is there anything really like the satisfaction you get after getting a fucking pump, bro? You know what I mean?
Hell no, bro. Gotta get a
Like-
pump, bro.
Like I was feeling like shit earlier, and I had a little time before we started this, and I was like, "Hey man, your Bowflex is right there." I was like, "You keep, you've been sick. You put on some flat. Just do fucking arms and chest. Just do something easy. Just do arms and chest." And I just fucking went out there. I did my preacher curls. I did my long curls. I did the fucking chest flies or whatever. I was maybe on the machine for 30 minutes. I mean, the difference in my day is unbelievable. I feel like now tomorrow I'll be so sore that I won't be able to move. But right now I feel like I could bust through a fucking brick wall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, no, in all seriousness, you are 100% right in that, like, even if you've been not working out for a very long time and you are as fat and doughy and shitty as you've ever been as an adult.
Yeah.
If you go and you lift weights, by the end of that, you will feel at least somewhat less fat, doughy,
Yes.
and shitty. You will be like,
It's
okay.
a mental thing. It's like a placebo, but you're just like,
Well,
I did it.
I mean, it is, but I mean, a pump. I mean, that is a very real physiological thing.
My tits really do feel amazing right
No,
now.
I mean that,
Yeah.
like it. I mean, that's a real thing that does happen. You fill up those areas that you work out with blood and shit, and they do get bigger. It's temporary, and unless you do it repeatedly, obviously. But it is real though. It's not like in your head or nothing like that.
No, I feel great though.
Yeah, well, that's good. Did you want to? Well, I'm sorry to put you on the spot like this because I don't know if you have it pulled up. You mentioned you might show a video. Okay. All right.
I don't, but I can find it real quick. I sent this the other day because there had been a woman I saw where it was like anytime she's sick, she has a Chinese accent. And you were like, I think that's the same woman from when she had the coma. But can you see that?
Yeah. Well, apparently it's not a coma from looking at this. I guess it's a stroke specifically.
It's a stroke. And
anyway, point is, one singular cataclysmic incident befell this woman. This woman who is either British or Australian, British woman.
Yeah.
And then this happened. It changed her in a very specific
My name
way.
is Sarah Colville. I am 40 years old. I live in Plymouth, born and bred here in Plymouth. About 5 years ago now, I had a stroke-like event. There's still some question as to whether it was a severe migraine or an actual stroke event, but whatever it was have changed my brain activity. So the motor skills and communication part of brain do not function very well anymore. This at the time was very confusing, but actually had a lot of help, a lot of support from neurologists.
Dude, like, how, like,
brains, man, wild. This lady
it's
woke
funny.
up.
Like,
she has
I know it's
a
funny. I don't want to
Chinese
make fun of
accent.
like brain damage and like trauma and shit like that, but like it is in like just in a vacuum. Like it seems like a Family Guy thing that would happen to Peter. You know what I mean? Like Peter gets hit in the head and now he's a Chinese person. But like, but like, bro, like how? Like I know this fucking woman ain't doing this for clicks. You know what I mean? Like I know that this is real.
Again, that's just how wild brains are. It's like, I don't know, you turn off a specific circuit in a person's brain or whatever, and next thing you know, they talk with a Chinese accent, even though they're from fucking Yorkshire or wherever she said she's from, Plymouth. I don't know where that is in England, but
do you think that
she's
like
lying me?
Do you think that like in her hamlet, that they all hang out in, like they pretty much stay in the hamlets? Do you think that there was like a Chinese restaurant that she frequented a lot
Right.
And
She
so
had to hear it from somewhere. She wasn't born with that accent. It's like, you would think there's absolutely no way that, like, let's say you were born and you lived your whole life in a room with no TV or anything else, but obviously that would make you horrifically stunted. I'm just saying you've never been exposed to any other way of talking anywhere, but you did speak English or your native language. Surely that person could not have a stroke and then end up with a different accent, right? Having never been exposed to it. Because if that is somehow true, then that's incredibly
then
insane.
I don't know anything. Then nothing we know is true.
But if it's like a thing but I don't know, man, because that further begs the question of, like, okay, she had heard accents, both authentic and stereotypical, of Asian people on TV and the radio and all kinds of movies and shit over the years in media. But, like, how does it mean that it's, like, good or not? Do you know what I mean? Like, when you do it, like, which one do you emulate, if it's something that you've seen before versus like did her brain just flip a switch and it's like, now you're just impersonating this one person you saw in the news 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And for some reason that's somewhere in the back of your brain and we flipped a switch and now you talk like that for the rest of your life, is like insane to think about. But our buddy Smart Mark, when you sent this to him earlier, he said that he knew a story about some guy that also had a stroke or something, and then he became like a math prodigy after being number dumb his whole life. And it's like, what is that?
I mean, like, I don't get it. I mean, I guess I can understand, like, there is a certain part. Okay, so, like, I've got, and it's so funny because I've brought this up a lot, and every time I do, I never can remember the word, and somebody will invariably email us and be like, it's this, Cho. But whatever the dyslexia for numbers is,
fuck.
I know but the reason I've never cared to remember what it was, well, I can't remember what it was because I got ADD and shit, but, like, I have that, and I learned at a very late age that I had that, and it was honestly, like, I'll be honest with you, like, very cathartic and refreshing to find out that, like, oh, like, yes, you are obviously still stupid, but, like, it's not for lack of trying. Like,
dyscalculia.
Dyscalculia. That's the easiest thing to remember. Calcula.
I mean, you'd think I definitely had heard it too, and I couldn't remember either. So I'm with you.
Yeah, but you don't have it.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's a good point.
But the thing is, the reason I stopped, as soon as I found out my diagnosis, I just gave up on numbers altogether because I was like, well, I told you, couldn't do it. But, like, it was very nice to learn because, like, for years, I did so well in every other area of school. And everybody and my parents were just like, well, you just don't give a shit about math. And I'm like, you're right, I don't give a shit about math, but, like, I do hate failing and hate getting in trouble. But, like, every time I look at my homework, like, I fucking just shut off. Like, I would get, like, if you want to put me to sleep, give me fucking, like, 9 math problems and tell me to figure them out, and I'm fucking gone. But, like, what would have to happen to I guess there's, like, people say, like, oh, you're left-brained, you're right-brained, and I think it's like the left, am I correct here that the left is, like, the more, like, organizational and the right is the more creative, or maybe it's the opposite?
I think it's the opposite, but I'm not sure.
Whatever.
You might be right. But I think right-brained is the more, like, calculating, organized, methodical, and left brain is artistic shit. But I'm not sure. Hell, I don't even know if any of that's fucking true.
Me either. But let's say it is. Let's say hypothetically.
No, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. Left brain is logical, analytical. Right brain is creative and intuitive.
Yeah, and the reason I remembered it is because it's the opposite of what you would think it was.
Right.
Because left you'd think would be like queer, creative. Whatever.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. I hear left, I think queer, like I am, and I'm queers are creative.
Always feel like left brain person, and someone was like, you mean right brain? And I was like, no, those are and they're like, no, and that's how I remember.
No, you're right.
The opposite of what you would think is that. Well, anyways, so I'm a super right brain person, right? Like, I'm creative, I'm loose, whatever. So it would make sense to me that, like, if I had a stroke or something and my brain rewired itself, that maybe I would wake up more of a right brain person, and it would get rid of that dyscalculia or whatever that was getting in my way, and then numbers would make sense to me, right? Like, it's crazy to think about, but I can kind of put myself there. But I can't put myself in the position of that I wake up, like, I have a stroke, and then 5 days later, my mom goes, oh my God, he's got his eyes open. And I just go, hola, governor.
Right.
How you doing?
I wonder how long it took people to be like, Okay, Stacy, but
Stop it.
for real.
They probably still do it. Some people still do it to her.
I'm sure some people still don't believe that it's true, but it's like you said, it's like, why? I don't get what's the upside
There's no upside
of doing
to get
that.
one news story.
Right. Doesn't make any sense. What do you think is like, what would be the hittingest or least hittingest new accent to just wake up with after a
Chinese
stroke?
is the least hitting, and I say that because it's the one where I'm going to get in the most trouble.
Yes,
for.
Well, I was going to say, as white dudes, I think you could argue
any
Asian, but also like Jamaican or
black,
any kind of black coded accent,
like Baltimore,
right, yeah. But on the other, as far as that goes, everybody knows there's white dudes out there who do just talk like that all the time. So, but there's no white guys
shit on. Dude,
they do get shit on. Yeah.
Have you seen the fucking? Because this is code switching, right? Have you seen the interview that fucking Quentin Tarantino gave on BET on 106 in Park? I think when he was promoting Django. And he's with like Samuel L. Jackson and Jamie Foxx and shit. Have you seen it?
I'm almost certain that I have seen it, but I can't remember the specifics of it. So so pull it up.
Burns, if this takes me a minute, please.
No, that's all right. I'll fill the time. I think that I think you're probably right. As a white dude, an Asian accent is probably the worst one you could wake up with because people are going to think you're being an asshole. No matter what you do. We told the story about the Jamaican accent thing on here, right? About us in DC.
Yeah. All right.
Well, to tell it again real quick, if anybody listening doesn't remember what we're talking about, me and Cho were walking down the street in D.C., and I just have my whole life, I've liked to just randomly talk in random accents. It has nothing to do with any kind of ethnic considerations. I've just always done it.
No, we've never considered ethnicities.
No, and we were walking down the street in D.C., like downtown D.C., and we passed by a very popular chain restaurant, and I said out of nowhere, "The Cheesecake Factory." And we both started laughing, and then Corey was like, "Oh, that's how do we?" And he started trying to do it too, and I was like, we were like going back and forth. It's like, no, it's like cheesecake, and it's like they say if you say beer can in a British accent, it's like bacon, and it's like beer can. Right. And it's like we're doing that. And we're like, cheesecake. And suddenly this voice from the ether goes, "Shut the fuck up."
Which, if you couldn't tell, was a black person.
Yes, and we both were like, "Yeah, you're right. We're sorry about that. Yeah, we apologize." But yeah, some black person was in earshot of us, having to be like, "These fucking honky motherfuckers," and they couldn't take it anymore, I guess, because they yelled "shut the fuck up" at us out of nowhere, and it was very funny, and we deserved it. Do you have that video pulled
We certainly deserved it. Yes, I have it. Let me share it here. Quentin Tarantino tries to sound black on BET.
There was that interview that he did on Part. He was trying to be black. I want to please my fans, and I want to please the critics that are my fans. He's trying to be black, but it sounds like Elvis. I want to please my fans. So if he'd have sent me something that I plug into my computer, I don't know if I would have ever heard it. Computer? I ain't never heard nobody bonically flip computer into that. Right? That's a new black girl's name, Computer. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Talking like a slave now. I don't know how to do that. I was hanging out with Brad Rabbit the other day, you see, and I said, "Please don't throw in that hole over there." That was worse than I thought, man.
It's a runaway train. I wish that crashed, but it did it.
I did not mean to select this clip where it was the dudes talking over it, but I'm kind of glad that I did.
I think, we get
we get the gist, but it skips over the part, I say the most hitting part, but like the most like egregious part where he's talking about Jamie Foxx, right? And he goes, I swear, like, this is going to sound offensive, but I'm doing an impression of Quentin Tarantino. Please, everybody understand that. He goes, so we's promoting a movie, and I'm hanging out with my man, Jamie, over here. And Jamie had people coming through the club. He's got the whole posse there. Like, he does this, he goes, they got the whole posse there. And you can see, like, Jamie Foxx and Samuel L. Jackson are just in the back going like, what is the whole posse doing? Yeah. And like, I know that Quentin Tarantino, I understand the situation that he was in. I've been there where like you're around a bunch of black dudes and you're trying to be cool.
I'm doing a black show tonight, and I've been thinking all day, Trae, do not do.
Oh, do it. You'll crush.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, you can't help but get like,
I'm definitely going to end up, black comicking it up a little bit at least without even necessarily. It's going to
change the way you shake everyone's hand on the show. Let's get that out of the way.
Yeah,
You're going to shake their hands different.
That I feel like is just an accepted part of society. You know what I mean? It's like you got to. There's certain handshakes you do, and it's just the way that it goes. But
I used to have a bit that I couldn't. It almost got there, but it never quite worked. Which was like, there's no one has ever been more anxious than a white man who is about to shake a black man's hand.
So true.
And I was like, in those 15 steps from the white guy to the black guy, there's like an entire Woody Allen movie of angst.
True.
And I could get it. And it's funny. I would do that to our people, and it'd go over pretty well. Be fine, and everybody be like, huh? If I do that in a black room, they they're like, I know exactly. They laugh, you know what I mean? Because they've seen it from the other side. They've seen the fucking honky walking up like, I do this. You know what I'm saying? And like, it is true because you're like, do I fucking assimilate or do I go in like this and look like a nerd?
Exactly. It's like that's the question. Is like, do I? Right. I don't want to look like I'm doing what Quentin Tarantino just did with my hands. I don't want to come across that way, but also don't want to come up and it's like, we shake hands in this country, young man. Like,
would you like to split a mayonnaise?
Yeah. Like, I don't want to come across that way either. So then I just freeze up and then invariably do whatever the wrong thing is to do in that moment.
Throw your shoulder out of socket.
Yeah. Right. And that is how it goes.
Y'all, I don't know if you're like me, but I'm a person who is very finicky about the way that I smell. I've always been, sort of a bald, dumpy type dude. So I thought at least the one thing I can control is how the women receive me through their nose receptacles. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. That's why I love our sponsor, Mando. Like, do your balls stink? You know what I'm saying? I know that they do right now. And you know how I know? Because they're balls, okay? Mm-hmm. If you hop in the shower, you get out the shower, 5 minutes later, your balls is like going to be balls again pretty soon. And there's all these crevices that I have. And that's the thing is like the bigger I get, the older I get, the more loose skin I have. There's just all these crevices. And Mando has this whole body deodorant that I can now just shove all over my stinky body and not stink anymore. And by the way, it was created by a doctor who was like, hey, you know what? Underarms, that ain't the whole thing. It needs to get in their pits, their balls, their thighs, their folds, their belly buttons, their butt cracks, and their feet. And it's been clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. I'm not telling y'all to go the whole 72 hours. They've already done the testing. You don't have to, but you can. They've got a solid deodorant stick, which was formulated and powered by mandelic acid. To stop odor before it even starts. They got a spray deodorant, which is easier for some people. All their products, by the way, in case you're a hippie and we're wondering, they are baking soda free and paraben free. And you can get a variety of fresh scents. Bourbon leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji. That's my personal favorite. Or maybe you want the pro sport. You know what I'm saying? Take you back to that time in middle school when you was the fastest boy on the track team. It's all been clinically proven to control odor better than just with a shower and soap. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle odor, let me tell you something, y'all. It was at a 5 out of 10. But with Mando, the average grundle odor is a 0 out of 10. So if you want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula right now, you can find them in Walmart, Target, and at other retailers across the country. But for the best deals, go to shopmando.com. Trae, tell them just a tiny bit more about our friends.
Will do. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, for example, the mini body wash or the deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for our listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use the code POA at shopmando.com, shopmando.com, and use the code POA to get 40% off your starter pack. Please support our show. Tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Listen, y'all, we got that extra hour of daylight going on. It's daylight savings time, baby, and we all know hour more of sun, so good for the mental health, but it's hard on the morning routine. You know what I mean? And by morning routine, I mean pooping, baby. If you're anything like me, that morning constitutional, and I don't know about y'all, it take 20, 30, 40, God only knows how many minutes to properly do your business on the turlet at the best of times, right? I mean, especially if you've been just eating like garbage like I am, staying up late, you get up in the morning, just blow it all out, blow
and
it
road
everywhere.
butt. You get road
butt, mud butt, all types of butt, none of them good, just butting all over the butt-ass place. Mm-hmm. And it can get messy, and that's why you need to get a bidet. Tushy helps us elevate our comfort in the bathroom and get you out the door sooner in the morning. Tushy, if you don't know, is the modern bidet that instantly transform your bathroom habits and bottom health for the rest of your life. Aura is the luxury bidet seat that turns toilet time into La Dolce Vita.
Ooh,
Aura
that means caramel butt.
That's right, caramel butt. Aura is Tushy's brand new electric bidet with an auto-open lid and seat, instant warm water that never runs cold, and UV sterilization for next-level hygiene. Aura by Tushy easily attaches to your existing toilet without the need for additional plumbing. Look out, Japan. We're coming for you. You've been on the top of the fucking fancy turlet list for far too long. America and Tushy's pushing back. That's right. Instead of wiping endlessly with turlet paper, Tushy pristinely removes 90% of bacteria while protecting your natural skin barrier thanks to one and only one natural ingredient, fresh water. I can't stress enough, installation cannot be simpler. It takes you 10 minutes or less to complete. Literally anyone can do it. Even a dumbass, no handy skills having ass, some bitch like me can do it, which means you can too. Joe, you tell them more.
Well, first off, I'm even dumber than you, and I set mine up, so I can promise you right now that talking point rings true. But, I've said this several times, but I mean it. First time I ever had an experience with a bidet was at the Watergate Hotel, and I just always thought, I was like, man, first off, I was very out of place being at the Watergate. I don't know if you remember, Trae, but I was like, dude, we're in the Watergate. This is fancy. We're not supposed to be here. And then we get a bidet, and I'm like, okay, well, now more confirmation that I'm not supposed to have one of these. And for years, I just thought that was a luxury that was not attainable for me, but not with Tushy. They have made it more affordable. They have made it more attainable. And again, as Trae was saying, like in these times when we're trying to pinch pennies everywhere, people who have made the switch to Tushy use up to 80% less toilet paper. So if you think to yourself, like, God, every time I go to the store, I'm getting toilet paper. You make this one-time investment, baby. I mean, you ain't getting no more TP. So not only are you saving money, I mean, you're helping the environment. You ain't clogging that toilet up. You ain't wasting money on stuff that you don't need. Also, you got the 2-in-1 benefits. It reduces irritation, because if you think that diaper rash is only something for babies, you've never met me, okay? Because I can get it. But with the Tushy, it reduces irritation. It prevents micro tears that you can get when you're using scratchy toilet paper and all that stuff. Also, this has got a built-in dryer that just so gently puffs air on that tiny little sensitive beehole of yours and just makes you feel like the Velveteen Rabbit in the story. You know what I mean? Loved, cared for, warm. Okay, reclaim your comfort zone in the bathroom for a limited time. Our listeners get 10% off their first bidet order when you use the code POA at checkout. That's 10% off your first bidet order at hellotushy.com with promo code POA. Y'all, get your butthole in check.
All right, well, putting that aside, I guess we'll get to our guest now. Again, this guy, love this guy. As I say near the top of this interview, I worked with him. I was an MC. He was a headliner many, many moons ago, probably 2012, something like that. It's Side Splitters in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I've been a big fan of his ever since because he couldn't be a sweeter dude and a funnier comic, and he's one of the best guys out there doing it right now, crushing it on the road, doing huge venues. If you haven't seen him, you should go see him. He's got multiple one-hour specials available. He's got one called Fun Size. It was a Showtime special. He's got another one called Daddy Issues, and he had a Netflix one called he was on Netflix's The Degenerates. He has
that was with Christina P. and them.
Yeah, right. He was. That's what I'm trying to figure out the words. He was one of the episodes of The Degenerates. And he's got a new one on YouTube now called Starfish. Like I said, one of the funniest guys out there, and just a joy.
Total sweetheart,
man. Total sweetheart. I felt we had a great time with him. We enjoyed this interview. I hope you do too. Here he is, Mr. Brad Williams.
And I've told Trae this right now. For me, now, granted, I don't have anything else to compare it to. Maybe he sucks, and I'm just like an eternal optimist. I don't know, but that's not like usually. Like if there's something wrong, I will complain. I'm the biggest complainer of all time. But so far, he's been awesome. But he hadn't started school, and I'm sure that something might happen that I don't know. But And I was fortunate enough. Me and Trae wrote a book right before he was born, and because I live in bumfuck Georgia and I don't need a lot of money, I took the whole first year of his life like off the road and just did the stay-at-home dad thing while my wife worked. Best fucking year of my life. It was like, which the baby part, like that's easy for everybody. I feel
it's weird. And this could be a whole podcast just by itself, but like it's easy and it's hard. It's easy because it's like they don't do anything. They just sit there and you just feed them and change them. But then it's hard because it's like you have to watch them at all times.
Yeah, and they could easily die.
Yeah, easily die. Anything could take them out.
But but once they get to the mobile level, like toddlerdom in the early parts of that, they're even more dedicated to trying to kill themselves accidentally. Yes. So it's like,
what is the thing that will kill them in the room? They will run towards it.
They'll find it.
Yeah, that was a real
radar for it.
That was a real hard transition for me as soon as he started moving and running, because like I was like, I got it figured out. Like I just sit him right here and it's fine. And then when I had to start like actually keeping my head on a swivel, that was rough. But the baby, yeah.
There will be less there will be less like looking down.
Yes.
It's more like, and then sometimes people will text you and they'll be like, hey, you didn't respond. I'll be like, yeah, because I'm keeping something alive, dipshit. Dude. Like it's not just like I sit in a corner and do nothing. Like I'm on it.
I've dealt with that so much these past couple years, because like I'll be alone with him all the time, and I love that. Like I'm not complaining, but like, yeah, like if he's in the middle of doing some shit and I can't pay attention and somebody sends me a text, like it might be a minute before I get back, and then I'll just fucking forget. And it's always like the people with kids, all I have to do is say, sorry, I had oh, okay, right on, got you, man. But the people that don't have them, I'm like, they're like, what were you? Oh, so you were too busy to send a text? I'm like, yes, I was. 100%. I was too busy to send a text.
The eternal struggle. We're here with Brad Williams. And Brad, I knew you were a dad. How many kids do you have?
I have one and done. Okay. We say that we got it right the first time, but really it's just we're tired. It's I don't know if you guys experienced this. Like my parents had me and my sister like 15 months apart. We're 15 months apart. When my daughter was 15 months old, I'm like, how the hell were you doing this again?
So
how?
I have two boys and they are 13 months apart. And the way that happened was we had the first one by accident at 25, classic white trash tail.
Sure.
Obviously it's worked out great. But once he came along, we had both like had wanted, 2 kids or whatever. And my wife has a sister like you, kind of. Her sister is 13 months older than her. Yeah. And so that, and her mom, my mother-in-law at the time was like, oh, you know what? It's great. She's like, when they're both in diapers, sure, it's tough. But like after that, it's the best. Like, I actually think that's the best way to go about it. And so in part because of that, and we were incredibly fertile at the time, again, trailer trash. We were like, all right, I guess we could try. And then she was pregnant immediately. And he was born 13 months later. Fast forward about 18 months after that. So they're like 2 and a year and a half or something like that. Yeah. I'm at her parents' house and her mom has been watching them and she's sitting there. She doesn't smoke, but she was like spiritually smoking a cigarette. You know what I mean? Just like, like just dead tired. And I was like, and I looked at her and I was like, you are the one who like encouraged us to do this way, right? And she goes, like with 1,000-yard stare on her face, she goes, I only ever had girls. I didn't know what little boys were like. And I was like, yeah, well now you know. But mine are fucking middle schoolers now, so
very
different.
I got a little girl, and for my friends that have little boys, all I hear is the horror stories, man. And everyone tells me, well, girls get harder when they're a teenager or whatever. But, I'm going to enjoy this whole, like, not being hard stuff right now. Then when it gets harder, I don't know, maybe by then we'll just all be having sex with our avatars and no one will care. So there'll be driverless cars. Maybe they'll finally figure that out. Everyone will just be taking Waymos everywhere. And, I will have less to worry about. That's what I'm hoping. Or that the world doesn't fucking end. But,
tell me about that, buddy.
Could be wrong.
I think about that all the time now when people are like, man, this next generation of kids, they're going to grow up and be in virtual reality and they're never going to want to leave the house. And I'm like, I hope my son just does that and don't go out. Because if he goes out, I would much rather him be a nerd with no social skills that stays at home and loves me and his mom than to do half the shit that I did and just worry me to death. Like, that's fine. Like, put your VR headset on and you can be like a drone operator probably or something in the Army.
Hey, can you be an Amazon delivery guy, but just with a drone and basically your day every day is just playing a video game? Awesome.
That's it.
That's great. Be a nerd because you want to know what's going to happen when your kid's a nerd. Then they're going to get one of them good jobs and just be educated and not come home one day and be like, you know what I'm going to be? I'm going to be an influencer.
God, see, you say that. So I was about to say, because, we're all comedians and whatnot, and I have 2 boys, and they are smart. They're like gifted and make good grades in school. And it's like, and therein lies the problem with what Joe just said. But like you were saying, it's like one of them says he wants to be a scientist. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's a great idea. And the other one is like, hey, could you sign me up for some improv classes? I'm doing this play at my school and all this. And I'm like, I've got very mixed feelings about it because part of me is like proud, but the other part of me is like my papa was to me back in the day. I was like, oh, you don't want to do all that.
You don't want to do that.
You don't want to submit yourself to that, but you got to be supportive. Can't be a hypocrite.
That's the thing where I get excited for whatever my daughter will be into. Hopefully it's something that I can tolerate. If she just starts getting into something that's just like, I don't even know an example, but like some activity. I do hear about some parents that have like, hey, every weekend it's volleyball on Saturday and it's baseball on Sunday, and both the teams suck and fuck my life. And I'm just like, that sounds awful.
I've got buddies who are like that, but I've also got the buddies who like, bro, they live for Little League baseball. Like they want to be there more than their kids do. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah. Now are they like following the umps to their cars after the game? Like that kind of live for Little League baseball?
I don't think so, but who knows?
Good.
I haven't been down there.
All right. Well, this is not because I know you get 3 dads together, especially too with like youngins. Because how old's your daughter, Brad?
5.
5. Yeah, Precious.
Yeah.
Precious hit the.
We're in this together, man.
The birth of his child in the past couple years has been messing me up because, like I said, mine are 12 and 13, and I'd be looking at them all the time. It's like, you were a baby. When did this happen?
It does the opposite for me because I remember when both of your kids were born, and that doesn't feel like that long ago. So every time I think about your kids, it scares me because I'm like, oh, what little time I actually have.
So it all sucks, everybody. That's what we're trying to do all the
time. We'll be crying in 5 minutes if we keep this. But so
I will say this, gentlemen, is that I'm very excited to be on this podcast because I do a lot of podcasts, but none that my wife actually listened to. So
we are the number 1 podcast for people's wives. Everyone said it.
And also moms, I think.
Yeah.
It's like,
my wife is constantly sending me your guys' videos. So, and I'll come back and I'll just be like, hey, I just did this thing on the Dan Le Batard show. Or I'll come back like, hey, I had this funny little quip on Adam Carolla. And she'll be like, I don't care. So then, but now that I'm on this one, now that I'm on this podcast, she may actually come to me and be like, holy crap, you're making it. I
like the subtle dig there, by the way, where he had to put us in our place. Like, I do good podcasts.
I do good podcasts too. She don't even care. Well, I was about to say, he said, "Oh, you're making it." And I was like, no, more like slumming it. You explain it, yeah. But this is the inimitable and illustrious Brad Williams, a fantastic comedian, as we told you before the interview started. Brad, this is I said this when we were messaging on Instagram. This is a one-sided reunion between me and you because you've been headlining and killing it in the game for a long time now, and I started how long have you been? 20 years? 20 plus?
This year will be year 21 in October, and then
Me too in October.
Wow! And then I've been headlining 15 of those years. So
oh wow, okay, so that means that you had been headlining for maybe a year and a half, 2 years or something. Because when I was like emceeing, I was a year or 2 in at Side Splitters in Knoxville. I hosted for you one weekend, and you were one of my favorites because we didn't, it's bit of a ragtag crew that we got through Side Splitters in Knoxville, and you were an absolute highlight. And
Thanks.
so I've been telling people ever since the time you come up, like, awesome dude, absolutely hilarious. So,
thank you, man. And that Side Splitters in Knoxville, that's one of those clubs where you just kind of think back on. Some nights it could be rocking and like the coolest thing ever, and some nights is when you go back to your hotel room and you cry and you wonder why the hell you're doing this, and you're and you're wondering if I'm wasting that communications degree. But it was a fun city to be in, and I've returned to Tennessee a few times since, and now I'm playing like the last time I think I was in Knoxville, I played the Tennessee Theater.
Yeah, nice. Absolutely. Well deserved.
Awesome. That was awesome. And Tennessee has been amazing. Just doing the Tennessee Theater in Knoxville, and then of course doing the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, the home of country music. Damn near cried when I walked on that stage.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Country music fan?
I grew up with like the Grand Ole Opry and my mom watching Loretta Lynn and showing me Johnny Cash and stuff like that. So I know what the Opry is and like what that stage means. So like, and it is weird that now you look on that calendar and it's like you'll have absolutely like Steve-O has played the Opry. Not that Steve-O isn't bad content. Steve-O's great, but it's like, so you had Loretta Lynn and Johnny Cash, and now you got a guy lighting farts on fire and stapling his nutsack to a table. And entertainment, everybody.
Whatever brings them in, buddy.
This is the place that like banned Hank Williams for being too insane, and now they've got a dude snorting wasabi through his dick hole.
Well, yeah, this is a good jumping off point because you've kind of just illustrated there, your rise over the years. Like I said, much deserved, but you've risen through the ranks in the stand-up world. And now you're doing big rooms and everything. So I guess in relation to this show, the question is like, has that made you a fancier person? How fancy are you as a person, Brad? Do you have finer taste? Do you like the finer things in life?
I have eaten Waffle House twice in the last week.
Yeah, my man.
So that to me, my church is the stage, and then my second church is the Waffle House. Me and my opening act, JB Ball.
I love JB. He just opened for me in Santa Barbara. Like 3 weeks ago or something like that.
He's so good.
He's
so
awesome.
Talented.
Me and him bonded immediately over. I don't even remember how it got brought up, but he said his all-time favorite TV show was Spartacus on Stars, and I was just like, "Can I give you a hug?" Did we just become best friends? I did the Step Brothers thing, and then we just talked about that shit for hours. But he's awesome.
That's why I take him to Waffle House so he doesn't keep bringing up Spartacus.
yeah.
Every
really likes
story can either be related back to basketball, Spartacus, or the Waffle House with Mr. JB Ball, and I'm pretty sure that syrup just kind of is his blood type, and he's not a fat guy, which pisses me off.
No, he's a good looking dude.
Yes, he is.
Good. He's a good looking 6'3" muscular African American gentleman, and man, and I thank God I'm married and happily married. Because if I was single, just on the road with him, it would just be so depressing.
Having to bang him all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Just be like, well, this is how you get your stage time. Yeah. What? You're not even gay. Yeah, but look at you. You're freaking Adonis. But yes, I don't consider myself a fancy guy. I'm a fan of pro wrestling. I like the Waffle House. So just because there might be a slightly larger house that I live in now, it's not. I get uncomfortable when it's too fancy.
Okay, that was actually a specific question I wanted to ask you because I know exactly what you mean. I'm the same way. It's like some people, even though they get successful, and there's in certain circumstances. For me, I always feel like I'm such trash at my core. I'm always like, oh, they know I'm not. They can smell me. They're going to kick me out soon. I'm not supposed to be here. Yeah. But I feel like that's a good way to gauge where someone falls on that spectrum is if they're like actually uncomfortable in fancy settings. It's like, okay, so there's never really any coming back or coming around from that. I feel like.
Yeah. So I'll kind of use this as an example. At one point, back when I was a single man, I tried to get a membership into the Soho House here in Hollywood. If you don't know what that is, it's a really fancy club. You go there, you drink. There's gorgeous women walking around. Don't know if they're members. They just have they have access there. And as most gorgeous women have access to anywhere. And it's a restaurant, and there's big Hollywood type meetings and blah 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 blah. I tried to get in there, and I didn't hear back from them forever. Then got married like years later, and then I finally heard back from them like 4 years later, 4 or 5 years later.
Wow.
And they say, and they say, congratulations, you've been accepted as an artist. And
they saw you on a billboard or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, cool. But then I thought for another second and went, wait a minute. I would be paying money to be hanging out with like people that want to be fancy, or I can just go to the Comedy Store and my friends are the funniest people on the planet. Let's just do that. I'm already in the best club in the world. So that's what I did instead. Like, and it's weird because I was raised kind of fancy. Like I was raised.
Elaborate on that. What do you mean? We're definitely going to ask about that. So go ahead.
Yeah.
In what way?
I was raised like my dad was a member of a country club, a very nice country club, and we would go and they do really fancy things there. But that's where I feel kind of uncomfortable. Like if I'm not there with my wife and I don't have that home base, I don't know where the hell to go. I don't know who to talk to. People come up and start talking to me about import export. I don't know. I don't know. It's weird.
Where did that take place at geographic? Where'd you grow up at?
That was Orange County, California.
I thought you were a Southern California guy.
Yeah, and this club is in Long Beach. So like I've been to the fancy parties, but no.
Okay, well, if you can think of any like good ones off the top of your head, you ain't got to name no names or nothing. But what's like the fanciest party you've ever been at on a scale of like, you know, drunk in somebody's garage to eyes wide shut, you know, weird mask and orgy party?
Actually been to one of those.
Yeah, nice.
I've been to the eyes wide shut party. Yeah, that was something that I had an opportunity to go, said okay, went, and then was like, cool, we don't got to do that anymore.
Yep, there's an experience. Yeah.
Yeah, that's certainly something that I could tell stories about once the microphones are turned off. But then, yeah, I'm not going to.
Damn, that must be real good.
It's surprisingly not. It's a lot of people looking around, waiting for people to start doing stuff.
Yeah,
and
Mm-hmm. Right.
No one actually.
No one has like a starter gun. You just pull your dick out.
Yeah, go. I just kept looking around that party, going, "Why are you here? What did you do? I'm here because I'm a comedian, and if you're having an orgy, you know, you have an opportunity to throw a dwarf in there. That's a good time."
I was about to say, did they hire you?
Checking a good box.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you just sort of touched on like one of the reasons I get really uncomfortable around like fancy people or people at rich parties is that, and I know we all share this because we're comedians, like, and this is why I'd rather hang out with rednecks, aka poor people, because like rich people, when they have parties, to me, I could be wrong, but like they seem to like, you know, really follow the rules of polite society on like things that you should or shouldn't talk about. And I won't like none of us intentionally bring up or say the worst thing ever. We're just so used to being with each other that we know. And I'll just start talking and I'll be in the middle of something and I'll look up and everybody's just frozen, you know, just like over the caviar, like, oh my God, who let the help in? You know what I mean? Like, can you hear? And that's one of it for me is like, I've never once been able to be myself around people that are that tight, you know, upper lipped or whatever.
So it's interesting because my wife and I have a safe word, and it's not for sex. The safe word is, "Hey, Brad, you're going too far into comedian mode, and you need to shut the fuck up." That's what. So if I start going too far, my wife kind of gives me an elbow and says the word cephalopod, and
nice.
Which it's not like it.
Yeah,
but
fits into things.
Yeah, totally fits in.
Yeah.
Ain't that a type of bug?
Yeah, I feel like that makes people immediately aware that it's a code word when when it's something like that, you know.
Yeah, and that's when I have to pause and go, oh yeah, like that's when I do the Michael J. Fox from Back to the Future, like, oh, you guys aren't ready for that yet, but your kids are gonna love it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that you just reminded me. I used to have a bit about my mom. My mama was drug addict, felonious
Still
drug
is.
addict back in the day. Still, you always
Used to be
are,
too.
in recovery. But she used to be too, yeah, in recovery now, bless her heart. But anyway, I used to have this bit about her peddling her wares when me and my sister were around as kids, and they would use like code words. But even at 8 years old, it was obvious like there'd be some like demonstrably meth-addled lady with no teeth in her mouth or whatever. It's like, hey, do you know where I could get some vegetables? And it's like, even though you desperately need some vegetables, I know for a fact that is not what you're asking for. It's like, I've lived with her. She sleeps till noon. She's not a farmer. All right. Like, fucking all of our vegetables are in cans. But yeah, I love a good, very obvious code word. It's a funny thing.
Someone with 2 teeth comes up and goes, "Are there any blue chip stocks available for purchase?" And you're like, we're not talking the S&P 500 with you. This is not what's happening.
Yeah. So what did your dad do in Orange County that afforded him the country club life?
Yes, Dad was a lawyer and
Nice.
a good one, and we got to experience some things like that. Oh, I will tell you it just popped into my head, sort of the fanciest party where I felt the least like I don't belong here. It was actually a gig. A country club in Scottsdale, Arizona, hired me to come out. And I've done corporate gigs before, like at a country club. This was like I walked in and my green room looked like. Do you remember the first Tim Burton Batman? Like Robert Wool and Kim Basinger are walking through that dining room. It's like he was king of the Wicker people, and it's just like all these people in these cases with these ancient armors and stuff like that. That was like my green room. I walked in like, what the fuck? Like, this is not. They didn't have knights in Scottsdale, Arizona.
No.
like, what is this? And then like they would ask me like, and what would you like your dinner to be? And I'm like, well, what's the menu? And they just kind of looked at me like, anything you want.
Just tell us.
And we make, and I'm like, what, like you guys have sushi? And they go, we have a very good sushi chef. And I'm like, the fuck is happening? So like that's So, and then fun story about that.
How do you make those people? Okay, go. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, fun story about that party. So the set was good. It's a struggle because it's like you say, how do you make those people laugh? What do they relate? Thankfully at the time I had just become a dad, and I had a lot of kid material, and then like that, because even rich people, even if they're stuck up, they're still parents. So like when I would tell a joke about getting shit on, they would laugh, be like, "Oh yeah, that's right, our son shit on."
That happened to our nanny.
Yeah, the nanny tells us about that all the time.
So, but here's the craziest story from that freaking Illuminati party: is at some point, this is before the show, they tell me, "Hey, just so you know, Michael Phelps is a member here, and he wants to meet you before the set."
Nice.
And I was like, hell yeah.
No offense, but I bet y'all looked hilarious standing next to each other.
1,000%. The guy is a 6'7", like he's built God made him a human barracuda. And then I'm a literal shrimp. So it's like, that didn't work. But he was a really nice guy. So Phelps is there. After my set, there's this drunk guy that walks up to Michael Phelps and goes, "I bet you $1,000 I can swim across that pool faster than you." And I mean, obviously we know who Michael Phelps is, but it's like, you're not just talking to the best to do it at one point. You're talking the greatest of all time. Yes. Not even at just swimming. Many would argue athlete. Yes. Like, he is up there on most Mount dominant. Rushmore. If you said greatest athletes of all time and you yelled out Michael Phelps, no one's gonna look at you like, what are you, fucking stupid? Like, you know what I mean? So, and he goes, "How about you $1,000?" And Phelps just goes, "Okay." And
oh, my man.
Yes.
So they go to the pool, and
Oh my God.
Phelps immediately starts, and he's been having a couple as well. Phelps immediately starts undressing. The guy gets down to his whatever skivvies, and someone's like, "All right, ready, set, go." This dude jumps in the pool, starts like he's going. Phelps lowers himself into the pool while this guy is like just like trying to like Super Mario just got the star, like huff it across the pool. Phelps lowers himself into the pool, takes a breath, goes under the water like he's a Navy SEAL.
Yeah, like Martin Sheen in Apocalypse Now or whatever.
Yes, perfect. Does two, I can describe them as dolphin kicks.
Right.
And starts when this guy is about 3/4 of the way across the pool. And Phelps does 2 dolphin kicks, beats him by a country mile. Yeah. And that's all that. And the guys got out, and the dude went over to his wallet, which of course he had $1,000 cash on him.
Of course.
Right.
Hands it to Phelps. To Phelps's credit, he immediately takes the $1,000, turns to a waitress, and just says, "Hey, give this to the staff."
Nice.
That's awesome. I respect him so much more than I did even before after this story, because it wouldn't have been surprising if he was like, "No, sir, thank you, but that's I don't do stuff like that." But the fact he was like, "All right, asshole, we're gonna make you pay for their college books this week." That's
a truly awesome story on every level. That's fucking awesome. Because I feel like most people in that position. I mean, obviously he knows he can do it, but just because of whatever propriety or whatever you want to call it, that they're usually like, that they're like, I'm not gonna
lower myself,
debase myself to even dignify you with a response. But the fact that he was like, all right, motherfucker, like, is awesome.
It's also so crazy that some people have that mindset, because it's like you said, like, not only is he possibly the greatest athlete in the world, but like that dude, whoever the 1,000th greatest swimmer of all time is, would smoke that fucking dude. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And I would say that this is mostly dudes. I don't know too many women that forgive the pun, but wade into this pool. But there's a lot of dudes out there that think, I mean, I couldn't play in the major leagues, but I could hit a major league pitcher. I can get
once.
If you give me 100 pitches, I'll crack one over the fence.
No,
you fucking won't.
You won't even foul one off.
No, I go to the damn. I've been to the batting cages here, and they get it up to 70, and I'm just like, what? No, there's no chance in hell. I'm not. Like, I have to, and the pitch goes in the same spot.
I was about to say,
right.
I was about to say, wait till it's got some stank on it.
No English at all.
Yeah.
No. So it's like, you can't do that. You can't score on a professional basketball player. Like, or if you play one-on-one, if it's make it, take it, you better never miss a shot, because like you're never going to get the ball
again,
back.
The worst NBA player that played professionally, the worst NBA player in the last 10 years would beat the shit out of any other person that wanted to play.
This has been like documented sort of.
From the Celtics.
I'm not saying he's the worst, but yes, Brian Scalabrine.
Yeah.
Yes.
He had the white mamba,
Love
who
this
was
story.
Like, a role player at best, and oftentimes, get a lot of playing time on a lot of the teams he was on over the years, and people would talk shit to him.
Career.
Because he's big white guy, whatever, so people were like, would try to get after him on Twitter and stuff. At one point, he told one of those guys, he was like, I'm closer to LeBron than you are to me. Right.
Yeah.
Which is 100% true. And then he started, I don't know the timeline, but he also did this thing where he would go out and play these dudes.
Yeah.
They would like talk shit to him and just smoke cause dude, like you said, it's not a women thing. So many dudes are just such dipshits about, like, I feel like every 3 years you see another article that goes viral. It's like, we polled men asking what percentage of them thought they could beat a grizzly bear in a fist fight.
Yeah.
The results may surprise you. And it's like 63% of dudes. It's like, I'm not surprised that they think that, but it's so insane.
I don't think any woman, none that I've hung out with, would look at Serena Williams and be like, I get a few points off of her.
Nobody thinks that. Yeah.
No.
women are so much. I don't know if the word's smarter, but it's definitely less egotistical.
More self-aware.
Self-aware for sure. Women, my wife's not, but she,
well, in that one way,
my wife could bore a grizzly bear to death. I guarantee you that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'm
buddy.
kidding. No, she's hilarious.
She's pretty. I'm about to say she's a
but
pretty
he wouldn't
good
want to
time.
kill her.
Yeah, no. I think it's more of women because of the unfortunate circumstance that they usually find themselves in. They're better at assessing danger and what would work and what would not work for them because it sucks, but they're in danger more than men are in their brains. So men don't have women have to go out into a crowd and be like, all right, where are my exit routes?
Yeah.
Where's someone I could call for help? Who's with me? Do I have my keys on me? Am I going to do the Wolverine thing? Like women are constantly doing that where men are just like, yeah, I'm just going to walk home drunk 2 miles by myself down a dark unlit road. Yeah.
And it works out.
Completely oblivious at all times.
So I think because men are that oblivious, they don't have that survival instinct. We look at the pro athlete going, yeah, I mean, I could last a round with Conor McGregor.
I had a buddy from my hometown or county I grew up in years ago. I haven't seen him in forever, but when we were in our 20s and stuff, he got sucker punched at bars multiple times, out of nowhere, because he looked a lot like Fedor Emelianenko, or that guy from back then. This,
I know Fedor,
hillbilly buddy of mine looked just like him, right in the face and everything, especially. And he dudes in bars would just come up and just start shit with him because they thought he was Fedor, and it's this guy wasn't Fedor.
Yeah.
First of all,
what are you
was a hillbilly lunatic, so I mean he would do all right. But the idea that guys are doing that to someone they think is Fedor or whatever is just insane. But you hear that from MMA fighters and stuff all the time. That shit happens a bunch. Guys want to, I don't know, try to prove they're alpha or whatever, and it's
So along those lines, I learned very quickly. So my wife, I'm about to do the exact opposite thing that I say that I do, which checks out for me. Mm-hmm. My wife is a martial artist. She's really good. Let's just say that. And when we first started dating, I thought, well, this is awesome. This is great. And she's a martial artist. And I would brag about it constantly. And she would tell me, do not brag about that. Do not. And now I know not to. Because if we're out and it gets brought up, her degree of expertise, immediately there's some dude that's like, so what would you do and you just don't. It's fighting hurts, and then I've got a little bit of money now, so you'll sue me and don't.
Dude, you're a wrestling fan, right? So I was hanging out with Conrad Thompson's a really good buddy of mine, one of my best friends. And so every time he does StarCast, I go and just me and him hang out and do whatever, and I'll help him out with some of his stuff. One day he asked me, he's like, hey man, he's like, before we go hang out, we were going to some steakhouse or whatever. He's like, would you mind just hanging out with Mark Henry for a couple hours and just doing whatever Mark Henry wants? And I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. Are you kidding me? So I'm hanging out with Mark Henry. We're in the green room chatting or whatever. And then he's like, hey, I got my meet and greet. He's like, will you go over there and help me? He's like, I'm not saying do security. He's like, I'm just saying make sure that people don't crowd. I was like, yeah, dude, I got you. I know from taking pictures in comedy clubs exactly what to say, whatever. So we're hanging out, and these dudes are coming up to him. Obviously, he's got a line out the fucking back. I think he'd just gone in the Hall of Fame or something. And he's Mark Henry. He's the strongest man on earth that's ever lived, Well, this dude comes up, and he goes to shake Mark Henry's hand, and he did this thing where he really tried to grip into Mark Henry. And I could see this guy do. I know, right? And so Mark Henry just grabbed him by the arm and just pulled him away. He goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" And the guy's like, "What?" And he goes, "I was just seeing if you, whatever." And Mark Henry was just like, "Do you understand that if I squeeze you back, I will turn your bones into sawdust, and then I have to go to court? Yeah. You understand this, right?" And the guy's like, "Okay," and he just leaves. And I was like, and everybody in the line behind him was like, "Okay, so shake his hand regularly." It was the most powerful badass. But again, I was like, why are you doing that? What are you trying to prove by squeezing Mark Henry's hand?
Hey man, I'm a 40-year-old dad now. I'm not trying to prove anything to anybody. It's like no, you
That
you you can do your thing. I've
right,
got my road because could Mark Henry squash me like a bug? Yes. Can every single athlete do their sport better than me? 1,000%. Can they do 20 minutes?
right.
No.
Exactly.
So
I got my
that's what I
thing.
got.
There you go.
Yes,
I got my thing. I got yours. And by the way, the athletes know that too. Like they got their like. You got to whatever you've done your 10,000 hours in. I don't give a shit what it is. I know I can't do it like you. I don't care what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, and yeah, unless you're John Mayer, who's actually funny, which
Yeah.
fuck that guy,
mm,
Yeah.
for being good looking, fucking musical maestro and funny. Hate him.
Hammercock too. I guarantee it.
Yeah, just got some guys just win the lottery. But like, if you're not that, yeah, you can't do everything,
Right.
and it's totally fine. And maybe it's just that insecurity of a lot of dudes. Like our thing is still pretty cool. Our thing is stand up comedy. You know, some people really like that, and the fact that we could get up there in front of strangers and make them laugh. It's a thing a lot of people wish they could do, but imagine if your thing is just like I fill out TPS reports better than anybody. Like that's not going to get you laid.
Right. It will eventually once the girl divorces her first husband. Like you're a
mm-hmm.
Yes.
good second. Like you're the fucking stepdad that could, buddy. You
Oh,
know.
you are going to stepdad the hell out of those kids, and
Yep.
you are going to she is going to love you so much because you're not
Yep.
the alpha douche that
Yep.
she thought that she wanted to end up with.
And there's nothing
And
wrong with that.
nothing wrong with that. That's something that and it's so I had so many people because like I didn't get laid in high school. I didn't lose my virginity until I was 20, and like people would tell me because I'd be really bummed about it that I couldn't get dates and stuff. They're like, no, you're a good guy. You'll win in the
Right.
end. But when you're 17 with a dry dick, you don't want to hear that.
No, you
Like
don't.
you want to
No, you
be
don't.
like, how do I get laid now? But yeah, but then those guys will win in the end. Those guys, and it's the same thing. Like some women don't want to hear this, but it's like we're all parents, so this is now kind of like the parent.
We
cap
love saying stuff
coming
that
on.
women don't want to hear on this show, for the record. So any more of that you got, just throw it in.
Oh, I got tons.
Yeah.
One of the things is like it's okay to date a quote unquote boring guy.
Of course.
Right.
Boring guys are awesome because you'll never get the phone call in the middle of the night that your accountant boyfriend is in jail because he fought Michael Phelps or Mark Henry at a bar.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
that's not going to happen. You know, boring, steady jobs are great. You know,
Mhm.
so find a boring guy. Some women like all the excitement and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Boring. I can tell you, like some people look at my wife and go like, oh, that's your husband's doing really well. Like that's probably great. And my wife would respond like, husband, what husband? I'm a single damn parent while this asshole's on the road.
Yeah.
Like out there doing his shit. And for the most part, she's right. You like how I know she's listening? So I throw
Yeah,
I just said I did it. Now
Girl
that's
power.
But I have the same thing.
weird.
My wife, for some ungodly reason, listens to this podcast.
Mine don't.
And so I always have to like police myself with that, like you just did. I'll get it done. Remember, she's listening. It's like not that I'm saying that, honey. You know, obviously, I don't think that. I just mean a lot of guys might say that, but not
the
me.
character.
Yeah, right.
The character of Trae is saying.
Yeah.
No,
I wanted
I'm with
to,
you. I'm so much more in love with my wife now that we've had a kid and she's boring, because my wife has never been boring. Like she's the life of the party.
True.
She's that
Yes.
never been boring. But now
tell them what they used to call her.
My wife's nickname for years was Natalie Holloway, because she was like the most likely to just get drunk, throw her phone in the river, and just get
disappear
abducted
at a
by
beach.
someone. Yeah,
Never to be
disappear at a
seen
beach.
again.
Like
Yeah.
that was. And yeah, still like that's what some of her friends have her in her phone is like Natalie Holloway 2.0. Yeah.
Man, that's a most likely in the high school yearbook that they need to start doing. Most likely to be abducted on a vacation.
On a beach. Yeah.
The Natalie Holloway Award.
Yeah. His wife would have had that locked down.
Go ahead, Trae. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, it's all right. There's just some, Brad, I ain't trying to get you to talk shit or nothing. I hate to ask a man to weigh in or anything like that. You know,
Let's go. Let's
but
go.
I remember that weekend we worked together all those many moons ago in Knoxville. You were doing a thing at the time because one of the Hobbit movies was coming out, and you were talking about on stage about how like all the guys that play the hobbits in that movie are not dwarves. They get like shrunk down to hobbit size and dwarf size.
Yep.
And it was hilarious and it was hitting for everybody and you were killing with it. But I just remember you doing that bit. So I want to sort of revisit that all these years later and ask what you thought about that whole recent Peter Dinklage thing with the like Snow White and all that and what they ended up doing, which I believe was
he's stretching.
Which
for
I
everybody
believe
that's just listening, he's fucking stretching. He's doing the shoulder shrugs.
They were gonna cast actual dwarves in the new Snow White, I think, and then along the way they changed course and they didn't do that and used CGI.
Now,
so
you know why they changed course?
Is it because of Dinklage?
Yes.
Yes.
So,
wow.
Right.
Peter Dinklage appeared on the Mark Maron podcast where they talked about they're making the new Snow White movie, and Dinklage said like, "Well, I hope they don't do this. Like, I hope they don't do the dwarf." I don't know the exact words, but he was essentially saying, "I hope they don't cast little people in that movie, so we do that whole thing again." And I'm sitting there as an actor going, "What thing again? Make money and be in a big time budget movie? Because that sounds nice."
We all missed it.
Yeah, we didn't get it. We don't all have Game of Thrones money, Dink.
Right.
That's what I call him, Dink. Anyway, no. So they caved to that pressure, but then when they came back and said, "Hey, here's what we did instead," it was Snow White and the Seven Magical Beings. And if you Google what the dwarves were initially, like when it was Snow White and the Seven Magical Beings, they look like a drum circle at Chico State. Like it was a bunch of hippies of all races, genders, sizes. There was one actual dwarf in it, which cool. But like and then everyone got outraged over that. So then they like redid it again, but this time made so it's dwarves, but they're all CGI dwarves.
Right.
Which is like, oh, sweet. So we can exist. We just can't play ourselves.
We can't get the money.
Yeah. And it's like, listen, do I want a world where little people and all differently abled actors can play any part and not just the part of the dwarf, not just the blind guy, not just the amputee? Of course I do. We all want that.
Sure.
But I also know, looking at history in terms of what other minorities had to go through in Hollywood, the system kind of is, hey, you play the game for a while, you take the parts that are the stereotypical roles, which you don't really like, but they pay, and then you slowly assimilate in. And don't get me wrong, Dinklage did it. Dinklage freaking knocked it out of the park.
Sure.
And if you're like, well, Dinklage was never really like a stereotypical role, bullshit. Watch a movie called Tiptoes.
Tiptoes. There it is. That's another question I was going to ask you. I knew you had to have been aware of it, but I wanted to make sure that came up. So yeah, Tiptoes. Tell people what that is if they don't.
Tiptoes. Know. If you look at the preview on YouTube
insane.
For Tiptoes, it looks like an SNL sketch.
Yes.
So you're like, there's no way this is a real movie. Tiptoes is the most offensive movie for little people ever made. Tiptoes is. I'll briefly summarize the plot. The Matthew McConaughey falls in love with Kate Beckinsale. They're gonna get married. Turns out Matthew McConaughey's parents are dwarves, and Kate Beckinsale meets them. And Matthew McConaughey's brother, played by
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman. And the funniest thing is that in the preview it says, and in the role of a lifetime.
Yeah.
Gary Oldman plays a dwarf.
Yeah.
And you want to know how Gary Oldman played the dwarf? Was these advanced CGI tricks or camera angles that they used for Lord of the Rings? Nope. They put him on his knees and they tied his arms back so his arms were shorter. So that's that. And then they're like, cool, done. He's a dwarf. And that's what they did for him. So in the movie, they fall in love, and like then Kate Beckinsale has second thoughts because she's like, oh my God, now there's all these little people. Am I gonna be, if we get married, is our child gonna have gonna have dwarfism, whatever, and then hilarity ensues. In the end of the movie, it's kind of insinuated that they have a dwarf child. Matthew McConaughey leaves Kate Beckinsale, and then Gary Oldman kind of moves in and goes, "Well, I'll be the father and date you." And that's kind of they never say that's what happens, but that's what happens. So yeah, most expensive movie ever for little people. Peter Dinklage is in that movie. He has a weird accent that changes about 3 times throughout the film. Starts off as French, ends up Greek. Not sure how that worked. And so you can't say that he was never in like the stereotypical roles, because man, was he in one. So yeah, I thought it was a crock of shit that they took all the little people out. I'm not gonna go so far. Fox News actually asked me to appear on one of their shows to rant about this, and I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I don't want to be lumped in with a certain agenda. So so they got another dwarf to do it. My friend, which is really funny. They got the dwarf wrestler Hornswoggle.
I love Hornswoggle.
Yeah, Dylan. His name's Dylan Postal. Yeah,
he's a great guy.
Yeah, great dude. And I get why he said yes. I don't blame him for it. But yeah, I just wasn't for me. But yeah,
Swoggle was there during the Henry thing too, during the Mark Henry thing too. Yeah, man, I'm glad to hear you say that, because like obviously, you know, I can't speak on it like you can, because I don't have a personal attachment to whatever that feels like. But I just remember hearing Dinklage say it, and I was like, you know, that's a hell of a thing. If he had never done any of that shit, then he's like, I refused all that type of work and I still made it. Then I'd be like, all right, you got a leg to stand on. But it's like, bro, like you did all that stuff, and now you're basically being like, and anyone who does it now is a piece of shit.
It feels like ladder pulley, you know?
Yeah, not a fan. Don't get me wrong. If I ever saw Dinklage at one of those Eyes Wide Shut parties, well, let's be honest, he wouldn't be there. They wouldn't let 2 of us in.
Unless you were in a trench coat.
Yeah, that's very true. But if I ever ran into Dinklage, I would have a very civil conversation with him, and obviously I think he's a great actor. And
he's awesome.
Yeah, he's won a Golden Globe, which is freaking amazing.
I mean, we wouldn't even be having this conversation if he wasn't great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So that goes without saying. But yeah, it kind of bummed me out, because like I won't try to get too political with this, but there's stuff like that makes people look at liberal left as like that's too far. It's like, oh, dwarves can't play dwarves.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I would have loved if they did Snow White and the 7 Dwarves, and they cast 7 dwarves, but then not just all old white dwarves, that they had male.
Yeah, you got to take what you can get in that game.
Different races, fine by me. I think that'd be cool.
Of course it would be.
Yeah, but to just like cut it all off completely to say that it's going to be too offensive to dwarves,
right? And that's the thing with what you're saying about the left and liberalism, whatever. And generally on this podcast, we don't get too into politics either. But that a lot of liberals, it seems like, especially white liberals, they love to get offended on behalf of people.
And they don't even.
So it's like they're telling you a dwarf, you know, like you. Are you not like, you know, violently offended by this? This has to offend you. And you're like, no, I'm not. And they're like, well, you should be. And I am. So
I'm offended.
Don't you have a hard enough time at the grocery store on the cereal aisle? Shouldn't you be worried about this bullshit? And I know it's not the same, but like, and I don't know how Trae's inbox is right now, but all the auditions I get usually start off with like, angry racist, right?
I had a bit about that, about how it's always a racist.
It's always, and like, don't get me wrong, after it was like 19 times in a row, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. But then I was just like, okay, like I would love to play this though. Like I hope I get it. You know what I mean? I hope I get it. And like, it would be a hell of a thing if like there was some, you know, like Billy Bob Thornton all of a sudden came out and was like, you know, Southern actors shouldn't take these roles where they're dipshit Southern people. And it's like, motherfucker, but you know what I mean? Like that would be.
I'm Sling Blade, for God's sake.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, don't get me wrong. I would love to graduate to where I could pick and choose what I want to do. But right now, this is like, that's what I look like. That's what I sound like. Like that's what they're asking for. And I'll gladly And you know what? I would rather me play the angry racist Southerner than them to do what they normally do and get a British dude to play the angry racist Southerner. You know, like let me. You know.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of getting Christian Bale, who did a great job, to play Batman or whatever. Like get or who's Spider-Man? Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. Yeah.
Tom Holland, also British, to come over here.
They're all British.
They're all British. Yeah, they're all British.
So
Henry Cavill, like to have these guys come over and play, and it's like that's their tall equivalent. Where it's like, well, it's offensive if an actual Batman plays it, so let's go get a Brit to do it.
Yeah. You guys are giving me a good opportunity to tell everybody to watch Trash Daddy, my new special, because I've got a whole bit in there about British dudes playing rednecks and stuff. But Brad,
I love it.
You already mentioned being a huge wrestling fan, and you brought up apparently your buddy Hornswoggle or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Similar conversation as a huge wrestling fan and a dwarf, because I feel like white liberals do this too, with like dwarf wrestling or whatever. They're like, oh, this is horrific. This is exploitative. This shouldn't be allowed and all this stuff. But like Corey mentioned Conrad, our buddy, who's a huge wrestling aficionado. We talked to him about it, and he's like, these guys live for wrestling. Right. He's like, they love this shit. That's all they want to do. And people are trying to take it away from them in the name of offensiveness
or whatever the fuck it is.
And you're a wrestling fan. So what do you think about all that?
Well, because there was a time when I wanted to be a professional wrestler before I got into comedy and really started, doing having success at this.
You would have murdered, by the way. You would have been awesome.
Would have been fun. I wouldn't be able to walk right now, but whatever, it's fine. But my thing is, like, if a little person wants to be a pro wrestler, you're not going to have them fight Mark Henry.
Yeah, it wouldn't make, like, the whole suspension of disbelief wouldn't work. And
exactly. Like, my friend we talked about earlier, Hornswoggle, he was in the WWE, but then they didn't really have anyone for him to fight. People didn't know that he was an actual wrestler. He's an actual wrestler. Like, he could go, but he didn't have anyone to wrestle. So it's like, we should have the Micro Wrestling Federation or whatever it is, because it's like that gives them a chance to actually do what they do. And I've seen some videos across my Instagram. These fuckers can
They're
go.
Good, they dude. Can go. They're so good.
And they're having a ball, and you can't tell me otherwise.
Yeah, and I don't know how they move that fast. How many Red Bulls they have to cram in to do those kind of flips, but they do it, and it's awesome, and I'm happy. And they sell out wherever they go. So it's the same, like, because I once heard an argument of like, I told a story about, I'll briefly tell the story, but basically it was after hours at a comedy club. They said, hey, there's a dwarf stripper in town. Brad, do you want to go? And I was like, sure, why not?
Was it fun. Maya?
Or Gidget,
It was Cassie. And so Google Little Sassy Cassie and you'll have a time.
Little Sassy Cassie. All right.
Little Sassy Cassie. Anyway, so we go and we see her, and I am dumbfounded and my jaw drops. Everyone's like, yeah, Brad, pretty crazy, huh? And I go, yeah, it's crazy because I used to babysit her.
Oh my God!
Wow.
Really? Damn, dude, that's wild.
And she sees me and goes, Brad, and she's so happy.
Yeah, wild naked and stuff. And it's like,
I remember the first thing I said to her was it anything I did?
Right. Yeah.
I just followed her on Instagram.
Yeah, but so I was telling that story, and someone said, like, don't you think the whole like little people strippers is offensive? And I go, do you find strippers offensive?
Right.
And she goes, no. And I go, then you have a mute point. Then we have nothing. So an average sized person should be able to go out there, shake their ass and tits and make some money. But if a dwarf does it, now it's offensive. Why? Explain why.
Right.
And
exactly.
Because if you explain it, there's no way you're not going to sound like more of a, I don't know if the term is racist, sizist, whatever.
Bigoted, at least.
Bigoted person, because you're like, well, it's inappropriate because they're smaller.
Wow.
Now we're getting to it. Now we're getting to it. So it's like, yes, we should be allowed to be idiots just like anybody else.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, and idiot is obviously the wrong term. It's a strong word, but
but if you want to be a stripper and you're a little person, you should be able to be a fucking stripper. If you want to be a wrestler and you're a little person, you should be able to be a wrestler. And the fact that liberals try to keep that from happening is funny because it's like you're kind of actively discriminating against people on their own behalf, which is weird.
It's that sketch where it goes so far left that it goes all the way back around.
Yeah, man.
And becomes right because it's now discriminating based on ability, appearance, size, gender, whatever it is.
Right. You're saying these people just shouldn't be able to do anything because anything they do, it's like you're the one thinking those stupid things. And it's like I remember one time I saw like some article on like a Jezebel-ish site. Like there was a UFC fight, which like I like the UFC, and I know it's problematic. Honestly, I think it's barbaric, and I barely agree with it. But goddamn it, I'm a fan. You know,
but it's fun.
But it's fun, man, and you know it's a good. There's some of my buddies that the only time I'll ever see them is if there's a UFC fight, and that's enough for me. You know what I mean? That's enough for me. And I remember one time there was these I can't remember who they were, but two black dudes were like in a UFC fight against each other. And this like Jezebel article was about how like it was reminiscent of Mandingo fighting and it was like gross. And I'm like, hold on now. Hold on. Let me break down what happened right now. You saw two black dudes fighting for millions of dollars, and in your brain, you just looked at them as slaves. Like you're the one that did that. No one else did that. Like So what you're saying is like if the white dudes are fighting, that's totally fine. But this should be something that black people can't do because it hurts your feelings. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, and it's that kind of mentality that loses a lot of people to that side when you go so far that it goes all the way back around and it becomes the thing that they're ranting against. And like I'm happy to be a comedian. There weren't a lot of dwarf comedians before me. There were a few, and one of the main reasons why I like it is because unlike some of the other form of the arts, I can control my message. When I'm on stage, I'm the writer, I'm the producer, I'm the director, I'm controlling everything. And there might be people out there that would say, a little person doing stand-up, that's awfully exploitive. It's really not. It's more I'm taking the power back.
There you go.
Now I'm controlling the message. I'm not up there just in a leprechaun suit or whatever. I'm writing about my daily life and letting people know what I have to experience. But if anyone, I'm going to tell this to all your listeners, all your fans, all your followers, if anyone is too offended by my stand-up and wants me to quit doing stand-up comedy, if you pay me $20 million, you'll never see my ass again.
That. Yeah. All right. Well, Brad, this has been great. We're going to wrap up with you soon. We appreciate you even taking this time, but I want to ask you one last on-brand question for this show. I know you said earlier, you're like, oh no, I'm just Brad. I get uncomfortable with fancy stuff, but is there surely you must have at least one sort of creature comfort or fancy thing that you do care about that you're like kind of a sucker for. You know, do you have to fly first class? Is it hotel rooms? Is it?
Do I have to fly first class? Fuck no! Look at my size, dude. You throw me in a coach seat.
Sure. I'm glad you said it.
That's a double decker. Okay,
you could go in the bin. Yeah,
dude.
You know what I'm asking.
I have 6'8" wrestlers. One of my best friends is a guy named Lance Archer. He's an AEW.
The best. He did my wrestling podcast. He's the man.
He's so cool, and I will send him photos of me in a coach seat with leg room and just drive him nuts because he's like
that's hilarious.
But so is there anywhere where I am a bougie bitch? Yes, not so not a bar per se. I could go to a dive bar and be perfectly happy, but I'm a bougie bitch when it comes to the whiskey and bourbon selection.
There you go. I love it. Elaborate.
I gotta have. That's like, if you tell me, there's nothing against Jack Daniels. If they want to sponsor my tour, great, sponsor my tour.
How long does a bottle last you?
Oh, a while. Because now my wife and I are bourbon, scotch, whiskey snobs, and we will walk in like, oh, you just have like the most bottom rung. Nah, we're good. Like I'll have a mocktail before I have some of those.
Okay, this is great.
You won't even drink it.
I wish we got. So, what are your? I don't know. What's your brand? What's your poison? What do you approve of?
Yeah. So, love me. My favorite bourbon is one called. All right, this is gonna make me sound like such a asshole.
Good.
All right. So, My favorite bourbon is this bourbon called Jefferson's Ocean.
Okay.
Jefferson's Ocean is a bourbon where the barrels are actually aged at sea.
Yes.
What is that
You
supposed to
piece of
do,
shit.
man? What literally? What is that even supposed to do?
The thought is that the constant rocking and the constant motion gives a different flavor profile.
Of course it does.
One of my other favorite bourbons. Now this is gonna go from trashy to classy. Watch what I do here. One of my other favorite bourbons is blackened whiskey, which is Metallica's whiskey.
Nice.
And you're like, wow, Metallica. All right, that's like man of the people.
Yeah.
Well, get this. Blackened whiskey is sonically aged. They
God.
actually put speakers next to.
Oh.
Do they play Metallica to the whiskey its whole
Yes.
life?
Yes, they do.
I'm
And
so
here's
glad they
incredible,
didn't. I'm
dude.
so glad they didn't cast you in that fucking Snow White movie, you piece of shit.
No, honestly, dude, no, I love
No,
that.
I do too. I'm
That's
kidding.
hilarious.
This is awesome
and great.
Here's how nerdy it goes. For blackened whiskey, it'll have a batch number on the bottle. You could type in the batch number on the website. It'll tell you the Metallica playlist that aged your whiskey.
That dude, that rules.
That does rule. Man, I wish they would do that, but with like Warren Zevon and like tequila.
Don't let your dreams be dreams,
I'd be
Joe.
naked every day, dude.
Just start playing sweet tunes to your liquor. You can do it yourself.
Man. Put it in there. So like I would say not the bar, because I've been to dive bars that have a good whiskey selection and are great. Out there in Nashville, there's a bar called Santa's Pub.
Oh yeah,
it's the
Santa's
best,
Pub,
dude.
the legendary
The
Santa's
best.
Pub. Yeah.
It only serves like 6 different beers, and the classiest one you'll get is like Miller High Life.
Oh yeah.
But man, like that's a vibe there. So I'm not against the dive bar, but if I'm gonna have a whiskey, it's gonna be something nice.
I love that.
That is a phenomenal answer. Very quick follow up. Have you done the Bourbon Trail or whatever in Kentucky? Have you done?
I have not yet. I swear, as soon as my wife feels comfortable leaving the kid like with someone else for days, plural, that's gonna be one of the first trips we book.
I was about to say we should do a little run of that together and film it for POA. Have us all go to the Bourbon Trail. That'd be fun as shit.
Oh, and I'd be down, and just know, guys, I get drunk real quick. Like I'm a cheap date, so have a wheelchair ready.
I know I made that
just a wheelbarrow.
I know I made that joke earlier, and a very immature joke, but like I was actually just kind of curious because, like, so like. Me, for instance, like there's some 400-pound dudes that I can drink under the table, so it doesn't necessarily have to go that way.
Right.
You just, would assume.
Yeah, I know a couple of little people that can put them back. I will say this: I have a very healthy relationship with alcohol. I would like to keep it that way. So and when people say like, what advice would you give your younger self? Like, one of the things I would tell my younger self, because I didn't really discover this till I was 30.
So y'all do age. That is a thing.
Yeah. We do. Well, I'm not allowed to say it publicly.
Right. I didn't know.
We're supposed to go off and hide in the woods at some point. Like everything's dead, we're not. So I would tell my younger self, hey, don't be pounding kamikaze shots.
Right.
Have one or two really good drinks.
That's right.
And that's your night. Like that,
That's right.
and that's what I do now. Last night, had a date night with the wife. Went out to a classy steakhouse here in Los Angeles, and she had 2 drinks. I had one really good drink, and we were happy as hell. And then we were still able to wake up at 6:30 in the morning to get the kid off to school. So that's what you got to do now. And obviously getting up in age, like 40, which is like 72 in your years. Yeah. So slide that one in. So yeah, like I like the nicer alcohols. I will say that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that, baby.
That is a great answer. It's been a great interview and a great time, Brad. You want to tell everybody, what you want them to check out, plug whatever you want to.
Absolutely. I'm on tour. I'm back on tour this year. Not as crazy as last year, but definitely on tour this year. BradWilliamsComedy.com. I got dates all the way to December 31st of this year. I'll be, but yeah, I'm going to, if you're in Georgia, I'm going to Macon, Georgia. I'm going to Augusta, Georgia. I'm going to, I'm actually in the process of booking some Northern Florida shows right now. So I'm going to your guys' area, coming to Tennessee. But wherever you're listening to this podcast, go to bradwilliamscomedy.com. Check out the tour dates. My most recent special, Starfish, just hit 5 million views. So thank you guys so much for watching that. That's on YouTube. So watch Starfish on YouTube. If you like what you see, buy a ticket. Come on out. It's going to be different material, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
By the way,
I can vouch for that. Again, I met him a long time ago, and he was killing then. He's been killing ever since. He's one of the best comics out there. Absolutely hilarious, and a good dude to boot. So, yeah, check him out. Sorry, Corey. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was going to say that on one of those Georgia shows, because Brad is such a cool dude, and he's told me that I could do this. I'm going to try to hop on and fuck one of those shows up. But I'm not going to tell. But I'm not going to tell you which one. That way, everybody in Georgia just has to buy tickets for all of them. And hopes that I pop out of the fucking cake or something like that.
Yeah, let's go. So, right. See, and he'll be doing stand-up as the Buttercream Dream.
That's right.
Not as Corey.
Yep, which means I can do exactly 6.5 minutes, and then I'm done.
Perfect. Guess
all right. Brad, thanks so much, buddy. This was great. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for helping me score some points with the wife.
Dude,
anytime, brother.
We appreciate you, man.
Brad Williams, everybody. Tell you what, as a kid, not just any kid, big old fat lardy kid I was, and boy, did I love me some cereal, baby. Cereal all day, cereal all night. You know, the sugarier, the better. If it had an ounce of nutrition in it, get it out of my face. I had no interest in anything remotely resembling nutrition, especially when it came to cereal. And I did love the way it tasted. But look, at a certain point, you become an adult and you realize that's insane. You can't just eat bowls of sugar for the most important meal of the day. You can't do that. Plus, you get older and you realize the importance of protein, right? Well, cereal, the kind we always had, it's nothing but sugar and ain't got no protein. It just doesn't make sense for a grown ass person, right? That's what you think. Then you find Magic Spoon, a nostalgically delicious cereal that tastes just like all your old childhood favorites, but without the sugar and with a ton of protein to boot. And guess what? If you're already a Magic Spoon fan, I got big news for you. Magic Spoon has turned their super popular cereal into high protein treats that are light, crispy, and taste just like those classic crunchy cereal bars. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are so delicious and have already become a go-to for me before working out. You know, before you work out, get on the bike, go for a run, do whatever you're going to do, lift a little bit. You need something to give you some energy, but you don't want to eat something that's going to drag you down. It's hard to strike that balance, or at least it was before Magic Spoon's treats. Their exact right amount of energy provided through my mouth for a workout. Magic Spoon's treats. Joe, tell them more about the cereal and the treats, buddy.
Cereal? We're talking about cereal? That's right. With cereal, every serving of Magic Spoon cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs, so you can feel good about what you're eating. The most popular flavors, and for a reason, are fruity and cocoa, and there's so many more. The treats, Magic Spoon's brand new treats are crispy, crunchy, airy, and easy to get. An easy way to get 12 grams of protein on the go. And for the first time ever, Magic Spoon treats are available in grocery stores with delicious flavors like marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter. All right. They're amazing. I take them before I work out. You know, in this episode, I talk about getting a pump on or whatever. Guess what I had before and right afterwards? That you're right. A Magic Spoon cereal bar. All right. Get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/POA, or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/POA for $5 off. Magic Spoon. Hold on to the dream. Hey, this is a PSA for anyone who rents, which, by the way, I know in the current climate we have out there is like probably more and more people than ever, right? If you hadn't heard of Built, you're about to thank both of us, because earning points on rent is now a reality when you pay your rent through Built. And by the way, like, we're earning points on everything else. Like, oh, I've got to fly the same airline. That way that I can get these points. I got to shop at the same grocery store. That way I get these points. And points are great. But why wouldn't you be getting points on the thing that is your biggest expense of the month? Right? And you don't even have to check with your landlord to start earning the points. You can use them, by the way, towards flights, hotel stays, fitness classes, and also even your next rent payment. Let me break it down for you. If you're a renter,
I'll break it down for them.
Okay,
Joe.
you go ahead.
Let me break it down for them
Why
if you
not?
don't mind. Let me
Yeah,
tell
go
y'all
ahead.
how it works. There's no cost to join Built, and as a member, you'll earn valuable points on rent and on your everyday spending. Built points can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, and even the ones you haven't heard of. There are over 500 airlines and 700,000 hotels and properties around the world you can redeem your Built points toward. Points can also be redeemed toward a future rent payment and unique experiences that only Built members can access. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question for you is, why not, baby? Make it happen. Start earning points on rent you're already paying by going to joinbuilt.com/POA. That's joinbilt.com/POA. Make sure to use our URL so they know we sent you. Joinbuilt.com/POA to start earning points on your rent payments today.
Skew.
Have better sex with Blue Chew. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. And starting right now, Blue Chew is offering a combo so strong it'll knock your socks off and your neighbor's socks off. That implies you're porking your neighbor. Why not? Right. You'll have to move towns with the amount of noise you'll be making. Oh, no, it'll upset your neighbor because you're porking your wife so hard.
That's right.
Sorry, I misunderstood that. But you could pork your neighbor. You pork your neighbor and your wife. Hey, it's 2025. Pork wherever you want to. Blue Chew Max has arrived, and it combines the active ingredients of Viagra and Cialis into one mega dick chewable. That's right. The combo acts fast and it lasts, baby. So guys, be ready when she needs it and get your first month of Blue Chew free. Great sex is just a few clicks away. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the U.S. of A., prepared and shipped directly to your door. That's the best part of the whole thing. You do it entirely on the computer, down there on the internet there. Point being, you ain't got to go to the doctor's office anymore, have awkward wiener conversations with them. You ain't got to wait in line for your dick pills at the pharmacy, run into your old high school guidance counselor. You ain't got to do none of that because of Blue Chew. Joe, you're a fan.
Oh, man, I'm such a fan, dude. And a lot of people ask me, does it work? And I'm like, dude, I'll tell you what, it makes my dick harder than knowing how many is too many when it comes to short jokes when you're talking to Brad Williams. You know what I'm saying? And Blue Chew won't stop until every man is bricked up like a brick house. That's the mission. That's what they told me. I'm telling you, it's absolutely fantastic. I don't like, Trae said, I don't have to go down to the pharmacist where the girl I used to work. I used to be the editor on the school paper. She's the pharmacist there now. I don't have to do any of that stuff. My wife loves it when that white envelope shows up almost as much as I do. And again, I've said this to a lot of people. They're like, ain't nothing wrong with mine. Ain't nothing wrong with mine. Like, there ain't nothing wrong with mine either, but there's no reason to not have, a little extra confidence. Like Barry Bonds was already a Hall of Famer based on his glove. You know what I'm saying? Need I say more? And we can all relate to wanting to feel more confident, especially in the bedroom. And Blue Chew can help make life easier by getting harder and discover your options at BlueChew.com. We got a special deal for our listeners. Try your first month of Blue Chew free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Skew.
Get you a new dick.
Why wouldn't you? You know what really hits?
What?
When you go to pee and a big old fart you ain't know you had come out.
Mm-hmm. Does hit.
Just explode out your butt.
Yeah.
You airmail.
Yep.
Closing an airmail.
Keep that in there, Burns. We're back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that that interview with Brad Williams again. A peach of a man and very, very funny. So check him out. And yeah, we don't have too much left for y'all. I think it was last week, right? We skipped over. We didn't do airmail because of me. I had something I had to get to, so we're definitely not going to do that again. So, Cho, what do you got for us?
Oh man, I got some great ones here. Subject line: Shriner here. Hey y'all, Mason and Shriner here. The Dalton Shrine Club is pretty big. The tiny cars are mainly parade vehicles. I'd love to fill y'all in on the ins and out of Masonic bodies and Shriners if y'all are interested. Thanks. I would like to say that we are very interested. So please send us another email on all the stuff that because we've talked about we haven't talked about the Shriners a lot, but we've talked about the Masons a lot because of like Ben Franklin and stuff. Yeah,
we also I did I'm pretty sure early on I did a thing on secret societies like that, or it was clubs. It was being in clubs. It was when I doing the Venn diagram thing. So yeah, always.
Yeah, we'd love to be schooled.
I mean, I hope you're not going to get defenestrated by sharing that with us.
Yeah,
I
no
thought
shit.
these were secret societies. You're just offering it
Burns, bleep out the name. I said I didn't say the last name, but even bleep out the first name. I don't want him to get defenestrated.
Can't have the Shriners coming after him, you know.
No. Hey, subject line: Southern boy in Australia, and y'all hit. Greetings from down under, originally from coastal Virginia / Carolina, but moved to Australia about 15 years ago. I listen to y'all every Monday while I'm welding in the Aussie sun, and it always brings pause to the job as I'm laughing so hard. Just wanted to let y'all know, Golden Gay Times actually hit. Do you remember Golden Gay Times? You remember the list of foods that you were going down that sounded like? I think that was an ice cream.
What were they? Okay.
Golden Gate. He said Golden Gate Times actually hit hard. First time I came over.
Oh, that's right. Because in Australia, they're like, it's a very prominent thing.
Yeah.
It's like ice cream sandwiches down there or something.
Yeah, he said, first time I came over, I saw a full city bus with an advert. I shit you not, the whole side of the bus said, and I quote, "It's hard to have a gay time by yourself." And I pissed myself laughing. Thought y'all would like that story. Keep on hitting from your fan, Adam in Byron Bay. Use my name if you like. We appreciate
Byron
you,
Bay.
Adam.
I love it.
We were just telling Brad that we hit, everywhere across the world.
You were.
And it's true that we do.
Adam backing us up. I like it.
That's right. Subject line: What the fuck did you just say about? What the fuck did you just say about you Yankee scum? Hi y'all, long-time listener, few-time emailer. Sorry for the rant, but you two idiots really got me riled up. I was listening to you two talk about mega pussy and how it sounds Swedish, and then learned it was Finnish, and then made the dumbass mistake of saying that we're all Swedish. Without going too much into history, the fuck we are. Just because we're neighbors and share about 97% of cultural elements, our languages are absolutely different. A Swede, a Norwegian, and a Dane could understand each other, but Finnish is absolutely different from any of those others. Heck, even the Swedish some of us Finns speak is different enough to be called Mumavasfinska or Moomin Swedish. I was trying to figure out how to compare it to Southerners and figured I'd just call you Starbucks drinking, Wall Street working Yankees, because all of it's the same, right? Not so much fun, is it? That, and we unfortunately don't have mega pussy anymore. They're just mega bag now. Remember what they took from us. Mm-hmm. And Trae, you remember Puttaneska from the 2004 movie Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. Still love y'all like chicken. Eero from Helsinki.
Yeah, okay. I'm not surprised that happened because I don't remember if we did it on that episode or not, but I know for a fact I have pointed out on this show before. Yes, we said it was like, oh hell, they're all Swedish, but I know I have also pointed out on this show before that it is my understanding that over there in that part of the world, in that Viking part of the world, Sweden is the one that don't hit for the rest of them.
Yes.
So I'm not surprised that a Finn was like fucking all Jorgen Borgened up about being called a Swede. So sorry about that. I should have known better because I do know that they don't hit for y'all.
Well,
so I'm sorry.
Obviously, it definitely came up during that list, but I feel like we've had at least 55 to 60 episodes where we go, oh, all those Hergen-Durgen people, they're all the fucking same. We stay being very offensive to our white brethren from that side.
Openly unapologetic about it, in fact.
Absolutely. Subject line: Beethoven can kiss my half-deaf ass.
Okay.
Hey, guys. Yes, you can say my name. This is Julie. Just finished the second half of Beethoven episode and just realized I've been fed a lifetime of shit. When I was 4 going, I hope you don't think this based on something I said. I hope you don't think that you learned something and then I unlearned it for you, because I promise you I might be wrong. Just finished the second half of Beethoven episode, and I just realized I've been fed a lifetime of shit. When I was 4 going into kindergarten, it was learned I lost my hearing in my left ear. I don't know why. They still don't either. Whatever. Anyway, back then I was told I was like Beethoven. He lost his ears too. Well, according to Corey, that was a loss over time. Not that he was a miracle deaf being, concerto spelling amazing person. I feel cheated. They all lied to me, and now I'm super pissed. Story of my life. The last don't hit and is a lie. Julie. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that's what I read.
Yeah, I'm about to say, before you said it, I was thinking the same thing. When she was like, "Oh, you've crushed my entire lifetime of understanding," immediately I was like, "Don't let." I'm sure whatever you thought is probably the true thing, not us.
Subject line: Cho has been hitting real hard for me lately. You know, I was going to pick this one.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, fellers, just wanted to say, by the way, this person's email is in a different font than
show
most
it, baby.
emails. I didn't show their email. I just showed the
okay.
email. I've purposely swiped so that you couldn't
just showed the body of their email.
Body. I'm saying the body of their email's in a different. But how do you do that?
I don't know how you do it, but there's a teacher at my son's school who does that, and frankly, it kind of drives me and Katie crazy.
No, this is great. I can read this better.
The one that this teacher uses, impossible to read for no good reason. No, this one's
easier for me. Like, I wish everybody did it because I have a hard time. Like, I don't think it's just the numbers. I think sometimes things jump out at me. Anyways, hey, fellas, just wanted to say, Corey, that I love when you bring up anything music related in your history segments. My training is in vocal performance and music therapy, but if money were no object and I could have any job in the world, I would be a musical historian. So naturally, your segments on Beethoven hit super hard for me, and I would love to hear you talk more about other composers. By the way, we did do a whole episode on Mozart that I think is pretty fire. If you haven't listened to it, go back in the archives. Should you be interested in covering them, I'm willing to provide guides to prevent any further pronunciation hiccups. I get it. German is hard. I didn't even know that I fucked something up, but I'm assuming I'm about to learn. I got particularly excited when y'all brought up Chris Thiele in your most recent episode, as he is one of my favorite musicians of all time. Us too, for sure. I've been a fan of his since his early days with Nickel Creek. By the way, I know maybe you know this because I told you. Did you know that like Nickel Creek started when he was like 6 or something like that?
I didn't know he was 6, but I knew he was very
something crazy. Like that band has been going since the early 80s.
I am aware that he was a child prodigy. Yes, I did know that.
Which, like, of course he is. I've been a fan of his since his early days with Nickel Creek and have seen him live at least 4 times, twice with the Punch Brothers at the Georgia Theater in Athens. Shout out. He's one of those musicians where it does not matter how many times you've seen him, you will always opt to see him again, as every single show he plays is absolutely spellbinding. The dude is, I cannot stress this enough, a genius. Related to this podcast, he transcribed an entire album's worth of J.S. Bach's sonatas for mandolin that will blow your mind. Dude, I knew this about Thiele. Like, I did know all this stuff, but reading it like this, it's like, it really hits me because, like, I grew up listening to Nickel Creek because my dad really liked them. And my dad liked them because he was a young musical prodigy. And my dad's a bluegrass guy, and he really respected that. And it really hits for me so hard that, like, that ended up panning out. You know what I mean? Like, from my childhood, this, like, prodigy, like, it turns out that he really is this, like, in his world, he's a Shakespeare level type dude. I really enjoy that. I could geek out about music all day, but I'm trying to keep this note as short as I can. If nothing else, just know that as a displaced Southerner, listening to y'all is comforting to me, as it reminds me of being back home. Keep doing what you're doing. Love y'all. You can use my name, Elise, and then her sign off is take a sad song and make it better. I have one more. I thought we'd go a little bit extra on the airmail because we missed it last week, but this is subject line, some haikus for y'all, for Cho actually specifically. OMG, the Beethoven segments inspired me. Brunch, breakfast, and lunch, Homer Simpson, Lupper Dunch. Brenner is all day. You said mimosa does rhyme with Sammy Sosa. So does mimosa. Cake shakes are too much. But cake truffles, what the fuck? I just can't even. Old Papa Hayden, you can say it like Haydn, gave us the skierzo. Cho say Dave Chappelle, now Sassy Capel, then I don't know where the fuck she's going with some of this shit, but I love it. Patron Lichnowski, Novsky, what? No count? Razumovsky, 600 florins, ends the Prince Lichtenskowski, patronized both Beethoven and Mozart. Money in Heiligensteinsee. All right. It's 1,900 pages of this, but
of just haikus back to back. My goodness.
Wonderful haikus. Leslie, absolutely fantastic. I'm sorry that my eyeballs won't read that tiny of a screen right now, but we do appreciate your work. Wonderful airmail this week. Wonderful episode this week. I was so happy to have Brad.
Me too.
It was very nice.
Real hard. It was very fun. Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as we did. Half as much as we did, in fact. Even that would be a success. We appreciate you listening. Go to TraeCrowder.com. Check out my upcoming tour dates. I'll be in Northwest Arkansas soon. And then after that, April 11th and 12th. The 11th, I'll be in Knoxville, where I started stand-up comedy with founding member of the Skewniverse, Drew Morgan, our well-read co-host. And then on April 12th, I'll be in Chattanooga with the man himself, Cho, Lord, Corey, Ryan, Forrester will be there with me. And then I got a bunch of other dates after that. So including Oregon, Houston, La Jolla, all kinds of places. Go to TraeCrowder.com and come see me. Also at Trae Crowder, you can find a link to my new special, Trash Daddy. Watch that. It hits. Hope you like it. That's it for me.
Hell yeah, man. Go see him and definitely come see us in Chattanooga. If you go to CoreyRyanForrester.com, that's my site where you'll find everything about me, how to book a cameo for me, how to get to my bonus stuff and pay me money every month to entertain you. And also how to book me for a private event if you want to do that. You know, I mean, I'll come to you. Listen, for the right price, I'll come to your house and eat chicken casserole in a diaper. Okay? I'll do it. But also go to stayfancymerch.com to get sweet shirts like the one that I'm wearing right now. You can also get this in a hat form, a mug form. I think they might even have watches. Fuck, I don't know. Read my latest in the AJC, the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And above all, just be good to yourselves and stay fancy, motherfuckers.
Skew.
Skew.
Skew. Here's Lydia Lovelace.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trae and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cunt, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at putting on airs, putting on airs, putting on airs, putting on